the Student Voice Forum, standards-based grading was created by Benjamin Bloom in the 1950s. It started to gain popularity in the 1980s and has recently been spreading faster than ever. According to PowerSchool, standards-based grading is a system of recording student proficiency in relation to each specific learning goal. And according to Common Goal Systems, they define standards-based grading as a way to break down the subject into smaller learning targets. With the implementation, mostly in middle school and some high schools, there comes pros and cons when schools start using standards-based grading. There are some roadblocks, such as parents wanting to see their kids get letter grades and teachers not being able to grasp the concept. Most colleges also still require a GPA when applying. Although standards-based grading has its upsides, there are still many issues that need to be fixed in order for it to work successfully. According to PowerSchool, there are 4 major roadblocks when trying to implement standards-based grading. The emphasis is on whether students have met the standards and not when they achieve this. By allowing for do-overs, schools are rewarding students who game the system are sending the wrong message. This means that a student can take a test as many times as they want until they get lucky and pass. Even though it's not about how long it takes a student to learn this topic, this is a way of using the system for the wrong reason. If there isn't any urgency for a student to complete a topic, the school will be teaching them to not be very responsible, and some students will think they can just do whatever they want for the rest of their lives. This is one of the main concerns for parents, especially because in the real world, if they show up late to work, they will be fired. Another similar example can be found on competenceworks.org. Many teachers and bosses will be compassionate and flexible if you rarely miss a deadline and ask ahead of time for extra time to complete an assignment or to catch up on work. This is okay to understand being compassionate and having flexibility, but it's important for students to understand that a good work habit is required for the real world. One solution is to give out separate grades and evaluations on work habits and achievements. Take 2 students, for example. One studies hard but is unable to master concepts, but another student fails to turn in homework but still aces every test. They both have a B, but for very different reasons. Giving separate grades for work habits and achievements removes this ambiguity and provides better information about a student's performance. The second problem is that it would create more work for teachers. It will be much more work for teachers to create individual reports for each student instead of just averaging out a grade for the semester. A solution to this would be to continuously track and report how students are developing by the end of each semester. A solution to this would be to continuously track and report how students are developing. By the end of each semester, a progress report for each student will have been completed. Another tough issue for high school students especially would be that it removes the ability to have a GPA. Without a GPA, these students would not be able to apply for colleges or other scholarships. One way to solve this problem would be to utilize standards-based grading and traditional ABC systems so that a student will have a GPA and their standards-based grading report. Finally, the last problem in PowerSchool is the issue of trying to apply standards-based grading is pushback from teachers and the result of failure among educators. If school administrators do not provide valid reasoning for implementing the new grading system, many teachers will rebel and are unhappy, which in turn ripples through the parents also. The main goal of standards-based grading is to help students master a specific topic at their own pace and understand it better. Even though the traditional grading system does not come with personalized mastery of skill, there is another way parents can understand about how their child is learning. This is why many schools have parent-teacher conferences. This is for the teacher to talk about the student, how they're developing on a day-to-day level, while also keeping the grades that parents want to see. And according to the Chicago Tribune, many parents are revolting against not seeing letter grades for their children. One issue that comes up is that not many schools know how to integrate gradeless classrooms. According to Education Week, many principals want to try it but don't know how to integrate it to have it work successfully. And they don't know how to convince teachers to utilize it efficiently. Another issue, as discussed earlier, is how do schools integrate regular grades for colleges that are required on their transcript. One of the biggest concerns for principals is from parents wondering where their kids' A's are. Other problems that are brought up by not having grades is deciding whether a student is eligible to participate in high school sports. The letter grades were necessary for deciding whether a student has been working enough to be able to pass their class and manage sports. But with standards-based grading, there is no way of knowing if a student can participate or not, because every single student learns at their own pace. Another reason why teachers hate it is because it takes away their power to grade students on whether or not they show up class late or don't show up at all. Even local teachers in Iowa told the Des Moines Register they dislike the fact they cannot grade homework and make assignments mandatory. Like natural human nature, many people don't want to work without reward, so many high schoolers won't do homework unless it's graded. I believe this grade is important because it teaches young minds to learn how to interact with each other appropriately. Removing this expectation to participate in the classroom and do homework, removing the expectation of participating in class and do their homework doesn't prepare students good enough for college and for the real world. Even though standard-based grading has many cons, it brings up good discussion topics such as what are grades about? Are they about mastery or just pain and suffering? And what's the purpose of a report card? A quote by Rebecca Bowden, Director of Elementary Education for the Grant County, Kentucky School Board, said on Slate.com, "We want students to learn. It doesn't matter when they learn as long as that happens in the school year." This goal sounds good, but 3 negatives come along with it according to Edutopia.com. The first issue is that it doesn't teach responsibility. Many students get the mindset that they can just redo tests and projects until they get a good result. The second issue is time. With all these students retaking assignments, it puts a lot of stress on teachers to get all these tests graded fairly and on time for everyone, to please everyone. And finally, the new ways of teaching and how teachers will run their classrooms will have to be changed. Educators that have built deadline schedules throughout the years will need to completely restart and learn a new way to teach their students. All in all, standards-based grading could be a good idea. The one way I can think of using standards-based grading is to not use it at all in high school. Using this more personalized approach of teaching for elementary and middle school students would be very useful for young minds. It would be able to help kids have learning troubles early on overcome his or her skills that are not up to par. This would ensure that students will be able to learn correctly and efficiently in high school. As kids get older, they need to acquire different skills, such as responsibility and good communication skills. And they should still use the traditional grading system. The system is not flawed or broken. It has been working for many years. Traditional grading teaches students how to be responsible and how to communicate with others. It helps teachers save time as they see maybe 100 students a day for the many different classes they teach. Some teachers may not be able to keep up with the grades, as some kids will need to retake tests in standards-based grading. Teachers will also not need to reinvent the way they teach. If they move to standards-based grading, many planned schedules will have to be thrown out and a new way of teaching will need to be invented. Standard-based grading has good intentions to help students and help them learn easier at their own pace, but there are too many roadblocks preventing it from working in today's school system.
Yeah, calling our administration. Listen to you.